Welcome to the 60 Plus podcast.
I'm Janet.
And I'm Joe.
How you doing today, Joe?
I'm doing all right, Janet. That's
Good.
good. It's if we switch seats.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's do a little role reversal.
Okay.
So what are we talking about today, Joe?
I don't know. You're the one that always says this.
I know. So okay,
How are you today, Janet?
I'm really good. I really am.
Okay.
I'm having fun. I'm having a lot of fun.
I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah. Life is good.
Okay. Usually we edit that part out where I say welcome to the 60 Plus podcast, and then you just burst into laughter.
Yeah.
That usually gets edited out.
You're not going to edit it out?
Oh, maybe. So what are we talking about today, Janet?
So what we're going to do today is kind of carry on with this whole theme that's developed for January, which is sort of health related, mind, body, spirit type of thing. We started with our resolutions, and some of those were focused on health, like dry January.
You say it like you don't like it.
Oh, no, you know what? Actually, it's fine.
Is it?
It's not bothering me at all. Thank God. I was a little worried there.
You were a little concerned. Well, we're recording this on January 11th,
I made it 11 days.
so it's not even 2 weeks.
No, it's fine. Honestly, I feel really good actually.
Okay.
Anyway, not hard. So there was that, and then we did the challenge, right, with Megan. We started that. How you feeling about that, Joe?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Tell the truth.
No, I am. I'm a little sore today. I pushed it a little hard at the gym yesterday.
Yeah.
Still doing kind of a quick workout, but I increased the amount of weight that I've been using.
Yep. Pumping
And
it up.
and am feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've noticed some changes,
Yeah, I have.
and I'm sleeping very well.
Yes.
Something interesting. I hadn't thought about this before. I'm remembering my dreams more. I don't know if it's just coincidental or if it's something to do with endorphins that are going. And
Maybe.
I don't know. I
I
don't know.
know I'm remembering my dreams well too. And, I think partly that's because there's no alcohol in my system at all. You sleep better and you get into that REM sleep, which is
Okay.
interesting concept. But that's another
Oh,
episode.
and I have been tracking my sleep on my watch. My watch will track
Oh,
my sleep
really?
and getting very good marks.
Oh, good.
hmm
It's good to get that positive feedback.
And my resting heart rate is a little lower too.
Oh, well, that's good too. See,
Mhm.
these are all good things, right? And then we, of course, we had our guest speaker, Ashley, last week who talked about the benefits of yoga,
hmm
which was all good things. And you know what? I happened to catch one of her classes, and I got to tell you, it is good stuff. I was actually feeling a little bit sore myself from working out, and I walked out of there pain-free.
Good for you.
So
I
really,
mean, I'm not like,
no, I know.
it's not like
I know.
debilitating pain.
I know. It's
It's just a
okay.
little muscle.
It's okay. It's okay to admit it.
Is that the first step in recovering?
Yes. Yes, we must admit these pains that we have. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of sum up this article that we found about energy sapping. So here we are, 60 plus. It's winter, it's January. We kind of want to hibernate. People are saying that, oh, they just want to sleep all the time. Their energy levels are low. How are you feeling about that?
I went for a good long walk today. It was brisk. I
Mm-hmm.
kept the pace up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that way at all. Although I do like going to bed in the winter, like at night.
Yeah, I've been going to bed really early.
Not any earlier, but it's just like really looking forward to it
Yeah.
when it's time for bed.
I know. I look forward to going to bed, and I look forward to waking up. As you know, it's good to wake up.
It's the alternative.
So we came across this article. It was in the New York Times, actually, and it was a energy challenge type of thing. And it was 6 tips that will help to restore energy if you're feeling a little sapped. They're very easy to do and very thought-provoking, some of them, because they do lead to a lot of health benefits that they talk about. And again, being that our theme for January is around health.
It has developed into that, except for next week when
And we,
it's going to be a real talk episode with Janet.
oh
Real
dear.
talk with Janet. And
Oh,
I started working on some questions.
Uh-oh. Oh,
Mhm.
so they're not going to be the ones that we usually do? You mean I
Mm.
can't prepare?
No, you shouldn't prepare. We
I
don't give
won't
our guests a
prepare.
chance to
No, I won't
prepare.
prepare.
All right.
I'm not,
Okay, so getting back to today's episode.
Yes.
It's an article from the New York Times, a 6-day series.
Yes. And so there's like six main pieces of advice, I guess, that we can talk about.
Okay.
So it might be helpful to our listeners. We can sort of discuss what we might do in these categories. But the first one is a 5-minute trick for more energy. They call daytime rest.
I'm all for naps and daytime
Okay,
rest.
but these are not naps though, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, we can't always, it's great if you have the ability to nap. Number one, I'm not a great napper. I mean, I have to be pretty
Sometimes I nap during the
tired.
podcast. I'm a great napper.
Joe, wake up, Joe. Yeah, I'm not a good napper, honestly. I'm like I've got an on-off switch most of the time. But when I do nap, it is wonderful. But these aren't naps necessarily. They're called, what they're referring to is just a 5-minute sort of respite, little hiatus that you can take. They're called oasis moments, that they're
Okay.
calling them.
And what does it entail?
It's a small respite from the literal and figurative noise around you. There's a lot of noise around us, right? So, first of all, you find 5 minutes. They're recommending that maybe you want to find these before your energy levels drain. So they find that if you take, say, a mid-morning little break before you get exhausted, or in the afternoon, I know that my energy levels go down. You take
That's what
that,
mine do too.
yeah,
A couple hours after lunch, I
yeah,
find that
like around
yeah,
3,
2:30,
3:30.
3:00.
Yeah,
When I was in an office all day, that was coffee time.
right.
I
And
can't
and
do that anymore.
actually, they do say that I take a mid-morning coffee, which constitute as that 5-minute break. It's like, pulling yourself away from whatever you're doing and taking 5 minutes and seeking out a calm spot where you can get comfortable and have a peaceful moment. What they found is it's kind of what they call wakeful relaxation. So Ashley was saying last week about taking some deep breaths, some slow, deep breaths. It can help you feel less depleted and more energetic.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. It also mentions that when doing this for yourself, carving out that 5 minutes when you need it, that it can give you a sense of mastery and control over your day. So you're not just running, 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 doing, doing, doing. You can actually stop and say, okay, I'm going to take these 5 minutes. And it's not a lot of time. It can feel like a lot of time when you're just sitting there and breathing. And it's supposedly very highly therapeutic. And they have found that there's some big positive benefits over time.
All right, so I think 5 minutes is doable,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not napping. I
No.
kind of knew that, but I just wanted to get it
Well,
out there that I do like naps. That was the first day of the. They're not
it's like
calling this a challenge.
it's a challenge. They wanted people to come along and try it,
Okay.
So, but you can do all these things whenever you want. We don't have to take it a day at a time. We can do them every day, really. None of them are hard.
Okay. On the second day,
Mm-hmm.
according to this article
Mm-hmm.
in the New York Times, it was move for 3 minutes to refresh your mind. And they're talking about 3 minutes of exercise, vigorous exercise.
Vigorous. To get your heart rate up.
Get your heart rate up. People that did this over time, there was a study done in 2022 with 25,000 British adults. And those who did a total of 3 minutes of vigorous movement every day had lower mortality and risk for cardiovascular disease than those who didn't.
Yeah, so there you go. That's, again, we in our age group, we worry about mortality. We worry about cardiovascular disease and things of that nature. So this is a quick hit, right? We can all take 3 minutes. So what do they suggest doing, Joe?
So it sounds a little silly to me, and they
Okay.
even kind of
Well,
admit it in the article. So for 30 seconds each, just find a place where you can move, and you're not actually doing any of these things. You're kind of pantomiming these exercises.
Mm-hmm.
Boxing for
Mhm.
30 seconds.
Yep.
So pretend like you're hitting a heavy bag or alternate between slow and fast punches.
Yep.
Ballet, so raise your arms above your head to form a circle and then stretch each leg, point your toes and
Pirouette.
do a pirouette and
Mm-hmm.
whatever those other French words are in ballet. Pretend like you're playing tennis, or a backhand and a
Yep. Or
forward hand
pickleball.
swing. You know, that reminds me of when my kids were younger, we had a Nintendo Wii, and you had those
Yeah.
Nintendo Wii Sports,
Yes.
and you'd play tennis,
Right.
and you'd be in the middle of your living room, like pretending like you're playing tennis. But that's what they're suggesting.
Mm-hmm.
Do that for 30 seconds. Dribble a basketball for 30 seconds. Take a jump shot and block an imaginary opponent. And Janet is actually pantomiming these things while I'm saying them. Running, jog in place. And then finally, to wind down, 30 seconds of yoga. Take a yoga pose and hold it for 30
And
seconds.
breathe.
We had enough of that breathing in last week's episode.
I love breathing.
Breathing is good. Yeah, I try to do it every day. That's 3 minutes to kind of get your heart rate up, reinvigorate
Right.
yourself,
Right.
and
And then you take your rest.
and people in the office might just get a big kick out of you doing these things.
Right, or they might join you.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Or you can do it with your spouse or your partner. Or
Sure. Or just stand in the middle of the road and do it.
Yeah, or do it in the mirror and have a laugh.
And then notice how you, one thing they say in all of these things is, how do you feel afterwards?
Mm-hmm.
What was the result? Is your heart rate up? Is your heart rate down? Do you feel more relaxed? Do you feel tired?
Yeah, and you should feel more energetic. That's the whole point of the
You
article.
should.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah.
If 3 minutes of vigorous exercise wipes you out, well, you might have some other problems.
Might want to go see the doctor.
Might want to. All right. So what's next?
How to eat for better energy. So they talk about how we, often will think about planning the next meal, but we don't often reflect on the foods that we had and how we felt afterwards. So one of the things that they are saying is that, try to tune in, an hour to 2 hours after you eat something. How do you feel? Does it make you feel better, energetic? I know when I have a big old bowl of vegetables and superfoods, I always feel really good.
Yeah, I feel hungry.
Joe, you're not helping now. But then if I go and I eat like, I don't know, a hamburger and a plate of French fries, it tastes really good going down. But
It does, doesn't
afterwards,
it?
I feel like it's a lead balloon in my stomach. So just paying attention to what makes you feel good. And then, of course, there's particular tips, if you will, about having protein in the morning helps for energy. Again, this fits right into what Megan was telling us about. We need more protein. Staying away from sugar. So you may get that initial surge from sugar, but then it's going to be like a wah, wah, wah.
I remember Megan saying, if you're going to have something that's loaded with carbs, like some fruit, an apple, I think she mentioned an apple.
Yeah.
She would have an apple before going out for a run or a brisk walk rather than after, so that it helps you with your energy during that
Yes.
exercise,
Yeah.
but you're also burning it off as you do that.
Again, paying attention to what you're eating, how you feel after you eat it, and focusing on those foods that give you the energy that you need.
All right. So the fourth day of this New York Times Energy Challenge is kind of touches on something we've talked about here before, and it's about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is about some of those maybe less than positive relationships. They call them energy vampires and chaotic friends.
Mm-hmm.
So people that sap your energy,
Right.
people that are always in the midst of some kind of drama,
Mm-hmm.
and it can bring you down.
Right.
If-
Right.
It's important to kind of assess, is this a friendship that I want to maintain? Or am I just on the short end of the stick of this kind of relationship
Right.
where the friendship isn't making you feel good? If the friendship is such that you can't be yourself, or you dread the interaction with that friend,
Mm-hmm.
once in a while, I suppose that's probably not a problem. But if it's just all the time and it goes on and on,
Right. You have to evaluate it.
is that really a friend?
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough thing because it's like you want to be a good friend, right? So you try and be that good friend, but then sometimes it's at the detriment to yourself. It's interesting. It's like your mind will want to rationalize it, give them everybody the benefit of the doubt or whatever, but your body knows. Even this a simple example, I can remember there's one friend in particular who would call and talk about the same troubles over and over again, about the same people. I don't like I don't like talking poorly about people. And, I would just listen.
Except
But
this one person, apparently.
right. Oopsie. Yeah, I don't mean to do that. But the point is that when I
If
would,
you think this is you,
yeah,
reach out to
no,
Janet and
no,
apologize,
don't.
please.
Um, you'd get the call and, like my eyes would roll like, oh God, you're like, oh, you're like, all of a sudden you're like tighten up.
Jaw
And
clenches.
of course, yeah. And of course you're like, wait, am I obligated to answer this? It's not a one-way road. You're there for each other. And I think that that's the difference.
So if you have friends on your list who fill you up, plan extra time with them. If you have friends that just constantly are draining you, well, maybe spend less time with them.
Why are you looking at me like?
Because you're the only one here.
I'm just kidding.
All right. And set boundaries.
Yeah.
Maybe not just cut someone off, but
Right.
just say, hey,
Right. I'd love to listen to this for the 20th time, but I think maybe I need to go. No, boundaries are healthy, healthy boundaries. So yeah, so that's another area of, we're talking about energy sapping, right? And we need our energy. And the next tip is the magic of losing yourself in a task. And in this, they're talking about what's called a flow state, and it's a period of intense focus that comes from being completely absorbed in an activity.
has this ever happened to you?
Pickleball.
Okay, maybe. But no,
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
When I'm painting,
Okay.
I've lost like, oh my God, all of a sudden it's dark outside,
Mhm.
type of thing.
Mhm.
Or writing.
I'll tell you two things that seem incompatible. No, that's not the right word. But two things that you wouldn't associate with each other.
Incongruent.
One of them is it's happened to me more than once when listening to live music, like really good live
Oh, yeah,
music.
yeah.
And I remember the first time I ever experienced this, I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a concert. I think it was the Moody Blues, actually.
Oh, the Moody
It was
Blues.
the Moody Blues. I went with a girlfriend at the time and a bunch of friends, and the concert seemed to go by in just a moment. It was
Yeah.
in the first time I've ever experienced that kind of real loss of time.
Right. Well,
and completely straight, no drugs, no
Yeah.
drinking, nothing like that.
Of course not. No.
No. The other thing, and this seems completely different, maybe building a really complex Excel spreadsheet.
Oh God.
I'm not kidding.
Oh, don't admit that. Oh.
Nope.
Okay.
So, hours will go by, and I'll be in no time.
Okay, that's nice, Joe. So,
How dismissive could you be of that?
No. So I wanted to.
Don't they say music and math? Like there's
interject that what you were talking about, and they actually said in this article, when you're in flow, time and self-consciousness melt away.
Mhm.
So, if you're in a terrible loop thinking or whatever about something that you really shouldn't spend time thinking about, you can dive into one of these flow things and just kind of lose yourself. And what the benefit is that when you enter flow, you're being flooded with neurotransmitters, which make you feel
dopamine.
alert, engaged, and motivated. So, wait, there's more. Okay.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, call them low stakes flow states. So, you can actually search out what will put you in a flow state. And
like building an Excel spreadsheet.
So yes, you can do that, Joe. You can actually put it you can go flow hunting. All right. So you write down 5 of the most deeply immersive moments you've had last year. What were you doing? Where were they? And do they, have anything, moments that can be duplicated? Do you have interests and hobbies that can also provide clues to that? Like maybe there was something you liked to do as a kid. Maybe you can pick that up again. So you can make a list and then try them for a little bit and see what's really sticking, what's really giving you that flow that's like letting you drift off into a world unknown to most men
and women.
and women.
Don't be sexist, Janet.
Oh, gosh.
All right. On the last day of the New York Times challenge about staying energized, it's how to keep this going all year long.
Mm-hmm.
So this ties in with our
It's just not January.
resolutions and health in general. And they recommend doing the little 3 minutes of exercise and the 5 minutes of
Oasis time.
But to do those things, they recommend 3 things. Reframe bedtime as the beginning of the next day.
Yeah, I
So,
like that.
why do you like it?
Well, because you're not going to bed with this mind frame that, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. I just need to get to bed, blah, 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 blah. It's more like, oh, wow, I need a really nice rest because tomorrow is a great day, another day to look forward to. And you're just energizing yourself for
It's a
it.
beginning rather than
It's
an
a
end of the
beginning.
day.
Yeah. So it's the start to a great day.
Try monotasking and time blocking.
Hmm.
Don't try
I'm
to
not good at
multitask.
that.
People think they can multitask, and I'm sorry. The human brain can only do one thing at a time. And when you think you're multitasking, you're really just
Not getting anything
chunking up
done.
your time. Maybe not, but you're chunking up your time into little monotasks. So you're not spending
Right.
any serious time on one thing. You're just
Yeah.
jumping from one thing to another.
Yep.
Like shiny object over there. And in time blocking, saying I'm going to do these things during this time. And I know people who will say, I'm only going to check my emails at the top of the hour.
Right.
I'm only going to respond to messages at the bottom of the hour,
Mm-hmm.
not like as soon as it chimes.
Constantly.
Exactly.
Like Pavlov's dog, right? We hear that ding. It's like, oh, I got a message. I have to check it.
I'm so popular. And then finally, setting digital boundaries. So that kind of goes to the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things they say is at home, put your phone on a hallway table
Mm-hmm.
to charge. Don't carry it
Away
around
from
with
you.
you. Yeah. So if it chimes,
Mm-hmm.
you have to actually go to it to
Yeah,
see it.
I'm not really a slave to my phone. And as a matter of fact, I sometimes turn my phone off. Like if I'm going to yoga class and then I forget to put it back on, and people are like, I tried to call you like 5 times. And I'm like, oops, sorry.
Do you leave voicemails for people anymore?
Not really.
I don't either. I call them. If they don't answer, I hang up, and maybe I'll send
Yeah.
them a text and say, hey.
Right, because
give me
I
a
don't
call
think people listen to voicemails either, right?
got-
Although you can read them now, which is kind of cool.
My phone doesn't allow
Right.
me to read them.
But I have a question. Do you take your phone to bed?
It's on a table next to my bed where
Okay.
it charges.
So I don't do that. I leave my phone, downstairs. And actually, they say don't leave your cell phone near your head.
Well, I mean, it's 3 or 4 feet away, but it's on a table next to my bed. And I'll tell you why.
Okay, tell me why.
I'm a dad,
So you're worried you're going to get a call in the middle of
and
the
I
night.
have in the past, and it hasn't been like awful, but I've
Well,
gotten
that's a good point. Yeah.
gotten calls in the middle of the night that were someone was upset,
Mm-hmm.
and it was good that I took the call.
Yeah.
That and I'll hear it chime, but I don't necessarily pick it up. And once I'm asleep, I don't hear it at all
Right.
until morning.
Right.
It's there. If the phone were to ring, I would pick up the call because if someone's calling me in the middle of the night,
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that it's important.
Yeah, that's valid. That's valid. So, do you have any other ideas for ways to avoid energy sapping, or what do you do when you're feeling like your energy is low?
The little exercise, the 3 minutes of exercise, made me think of years ago. I remember, I think it was an episode of LA Law.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh,
I know,
that's
I'm
a long time
dating
ago.
dating myself. And there were 2 young lawyers, and they'd been working all night, and they were drained and exhausted, and they were working on some brief or something. One of the lawyers said, "We're getting nothing done. We're so drained. Let's dance." And they got up on the conference table, and they danced for like 2 minutes. And I've actually done that. I've pulled
You
all night.
dance on the conference table?
Not on I don't have a conference table anymore. I used to have a conference table, but I have gotten
Well,
up from my
dance.
desk and danced.
Yeah, dance is a huge,
And it
huge
just
energizer.
gets everything going again.
Yeah, I would dance in the morning, and some days you go and you're like, oh, I'm so tired. But then as soon as you started, it was just like you're a completely different person at the end of it. It is a wonderful energizer.
You know when I dance? When I'm cooking.
Oh, that should make for some interesting meals.
Homemade salsa.
Oh, I get it.
Get it?
Yeah, but
Yeah. All right. Do you have any little tips?
Well, you know what? I go outside. I go out in the air. I go out, for a walk or something like if I'm not dancing. No, that's one of my ways to recoup some energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we'll leave a link in the Spotify notes where this article appears in the New York Times because there is a quiz you can take. It doesn't translate to audio very well. So we'll leave a link there.
And also, if you have any ideas,
it'll be a gift link. So if you don't
Yeah.
subscribe to the New York Times, you'll still be able to
get
read
the article. Yeah, that's a great idea.
So, anything else?
I don't think so.
All
I feel
right.
very energized.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right. That's because you were pantomiming over there.
I was boxing, air boxing.
All right. So until next week, when we're going to be talking with Janet in a real talk episode,
Ah.
because Janet has a birthday coming up.
Oh.
Until then, this has been the 60 Plus Podcast. I'm Joe.
I'm Janet. Bye.